Bitcoin uses half the energy of the banking system. A new paper by Galaxy Digital that we've talked about before says that Bitcoin's energy usage is half of the banking system. So all the FUD about Bitcoin using too much energy, and it uses more energy than such a country, and such a bigger country, and such a bigger country. Well, the banking system uses twice as much energy as that country. So as well as the gold system uses twice as much, and also covered in the paper, always on devices such as PlayStations and Blu-ray players that never turn off use seven times as much energy as Bitcoin, yet still energy FUD rules the world. Dan, Eve, what about this energy FUD? Now that this paper's out and someone has actually done the hard work of calculating the other side, how much it takes to run a bank, to have vaults and armored cars and tellers and whole office buildings full of people, it takes twice as much energy as Bitcoin to run the banks. Will this energy FUD ever leave us?
Well, suddenly I thought when you said about the vehicles, it suddenly made me think, well, Bitcoin mining primarily is the energy is from the actual miners, right? It's not from the setup, because once they're set up, they're set up. There's kind of, I'd like to say low maintenance, but anyone who's mined before knows that you're sat there fiddling until the early hours of the morning because something goes down. But it's all about cables. It's not about transporting masses of things here, there, and everywhere. And you think about just the monetary system in its current form of just cash and the amount of moving around of cash that you have, and a lot of it's vehicle based. And with Bitcoin, it's not vehicle based. So if you were to say, the definition of energy, and sorry, the difference between the energy and the carbon output, for example, as in terms of fumes, I think there's a significant difference there alone. Like, you think about energy that comes from a power station is, even if it's a coal-based one, it's still got a more efficient way of dealing with the emissions than, say, loads of different cars, which could be, which are inefficient in their own ways. So already you have a distribution system that produces a lot of actual, carbon output, on top of all the ancillary systems that support this banking system, from physical banks to everything around it. I don't know. It seems to be, it's one of those things it's very six of one and half a dozen of the other. You can read a paper, and I read a paper every now and then, and I think logically, oh yeah, I can see how actually that Bitcoin could probably use a bit more than we do theorize. And then the same, the banking industry, like, yeah, but we didn't think of that before. That must use a huge amount. And it's ultimately extraordinarily difficult to quantify because the current banking system's got so many different parts to it. Whereas Bitcoin really has only got like pure energy. And once you start to refine the energy and make that more efficient, whether it's nuclear energy or renewable energy, the fact is it's got less carbon emissions than the banking industry. And I think it's only a matter of time before it becomes a lot more commonplace that we view this more efficient usage of energy, especially from renewables being cheaper. The whole excess energy argument, that excess energy is far cheaper than certain fossil fuels, and the fact that from a business perspective, there are companies, and even reported in China, moving away from coal fuel because it's cheaper to go to renewables. Like, if it's cheaper to go to renewables, then you've got a financial driver of moving to cleaner energy, and that's the kind of the key point there, is that if there is a migration of people from old renewables to cleaner energy, then yeah, I think it's a big sign that it is a lot more clean than you think, Bitcoin in general.
Bitcoin has a very unique fallacy working against it, where it's too easy to calculate the amount of energy Bitcoin uses. You say there's X number of miners in the world, you multiply it by how much energy a miner uses per hour, then you multiply it by the number of hours per day that the miners run, which is 24/7, 365. Once you've done that, you have a number that you can claim is Bitcoin's energy usage. Then if you want to multiply that by years, then you can say that Bitcoin uses this much energy and you're done. And all your work's over and you can take the weekend off and go get a sunburn. It's pretty sweet. Meanwhile, what Galaxy Digital had to do to produce this report is they actually had to go to the banks and they had to say how much armored cars use, how much ATMs use, how much bank branches use, how much huge skyscrapers full of people use, how much all of these systems use, and then try to get that number. They even went further. They did the same for the gold bullion business, and they managed to get us this information about the always on devices as well. So if you were to look into it, which is not the media's specialty, you would find out that Bitcoin doesn't use that much energy, and it's not really a thing to worry about. It's just that Bitcoin is too easy to measure. It's too easy to measure the amount of energy and to do it wrong, to just assume that it'll be the same next year, or to assume that it will go up next year, that there won't be a new development in chip technology, that there won't be a new development in mining Bitcoin or thinking about the math. There's all kinds of possibilities out there, which are completely ignored when you just multiply times 50, which makes a great headline because the numbers go bigger. It's true. The more you multiply by, whole round numbers, the larger a number gets. That should be a headline. People love math. Josh Shigala, your thoughts on Bitcoin's energy usage?
Well, the only thing that's a bigger waste of energy than Bitcoin is talking about how waste of energy Bitcoin is. It's a huge waste of energy. I can't believe it. That's my answer.
And yet we still need to do it every week, every day around here, because if we don't counter it, no one's out there to counter it. And the way debate works, if you make a point and it's not addressed by the other side, it goes through. So we got to keep addressing this issue.
Just
we got
a mass debate.
Yep. And we just have to keep telling people Bitcoin energy usage is not such a big problem. It's just that it's so easy to measure. Why don't you guys go read the report?